fairest ever creature。绝代有佳人，幽居在空谷。自云良家子，零落一草木。关中系丧乱，兄弟遭杀戮。功高何足论，不得收骨肉。世情无衰歇，万事随转主。夫婿轻薄儿，新人美如玉。合婚上之时，鸳鸯不独宿。但见新人笑，哪闻旧人苦。在山泉水清，出山泉水浊。是闭麦周回，千楼不茅屋。摘花不插发，采白动银菊。天寒翠袖薄，日暮已修竹。Word for word translation. There are beautiful women in the peerless era, living in seclusion in the empty valley, seeing the Yangtze, scattered by plants and trees. Guanzhong was bereaved, brothers were killed. Officials are not allowed to accept flesh and blood. The world is in decline, everything turns candle. Husband-in-law is light, newcomer is as beautiful as jade. When the time is still known, the mandarin ducks do not sleep alone. But when the newcomer laughs, the old woman cries. The water in the mountain spring is clear, and the water in the mountain spring is turbid. The maid sells the beads back and lays willow to replenish the house. Picking flowers without inserting hair, picking cypresses and moving them. The sky is cold and the sleeves are thin, and the sun is on the bamboo at dusk. Sense for sense translation, the fairest ever creature. There lived the fairest ever creature. Amidst the dale, an open zone, from a good home, she was a treasure. But dwelt with weeds and trees alone. By a revolt, the plains were swept, then killed were brothers of her own. So high a rank her family kept, but failed to gain their flesh and bone. Misfortunes come with scorns from mortal, like candle flames from side to side. The heartless man was all too fickle, and like a jade was his new bride. Night petals now the time to close. Whilst the lovebirds ne'er apart sleep, to watch the new bridegroom he chose. E'en though the old was there to weep. The fountain up the slope is clear, the fountain down the slope is turbid. A maid thus pawned the jewelry dear, with fines, the leaky roof she mended. Flowers picked, she stuck none in her hair, but held in hands pine twigs so true. Her green silk sleeves in freezing air, she leant on slender eve bamboo. The creative background and the poet's sustenance, background of the times. The poem was written in the second year of Qianyu in 759, when the Yanshan rebellion was not yet peaceful, and Tu Fu abandoned his official and drifted to Qinzhou. The sentences mourning and killing in the poem directly reflect the destruction of society caused by the war. Personal sustenance, Tu Fu's outspoken advice angered Sesong, and he was demanded to join the army as a meritorious worker in Huaxiu. After abandoning the official and moving his family to Qinzhou, now Jianshui, Gansu province, he lived by picking up chestnuts and learning a Po Xiaorui. This poem uses the image of an abandoned noblewoman during the war to allude to the poet's own situation of wandering and adhering to his integrity. Huang Sheng, a Qing man, commented on his occasional person, and if this happened, he felt appropriate to release the minister, revealing that Tu Fu used the self-metaphor of a beautiful woman to express his sorrow for the cold world and the fate of his family and country. The situation of a beautiful woman living in an empty valley is secretly in line with the poet's poverty and persistence after abandoning the official. His debate on spring water is turbid is also a metaphor for the poet's ambition not to cooperate with the turbid world. Significance of literary history. Breaking through the tragic mold of traditional abandoned women poetry, combining personal fate with the tragedy of the times and moral ideals, it became a model of objective reflection and subjective sustenance. Huang Sheng of the Qing dynasty commented on his sense of appropriate release of ministers, and pointed out Du Fu's unique method of expressing the feelings of scholars through female narratives. Structural analysis. The whole poem is divided into 3 paragraphs, each of 8 sentences, with a rigorous progressive structure. The first paragraph 8 sentences. The third person depicts the origin and family tragedy of the beautiful woman. The opening passage, "There is a beautiful woman in the ancient era, living in the empty valley," points out her beauty and loneliness, and then reveals the devastating blow to the noble family of the Anshi rebellion through sentences such as "brothers are killed, and flesh and blood are not allowed to be accepted." Here, the theory of official rank and foot implies a satire of the false reputation of the powerful, echoing Du Fu's own experience of being demoted for his outspoken words. The second paragraph 916 sentences turn to the first person to tell, accusing the world of being cold and marriage betrayal. The husband is frivolous, and the newlyweds are as beautiful as Jade directly refers to the husband's feelings, while when the newlyweds laugh, the old man cries strengthens the tragedy through contrast, and the emotions are intense and sobbing. The turning of the candle here is a metaphor for the changes in the world, echoing Du Fu's feelings about the turbulent situation. The third paragraph, sentences 17 to 24, praise the character of a beautiful woman with symbolism. Clear water in the mountain spring symbolizes her adherence to nobility. Picking flowers without inserting hair shows the beauty of simplicity, and resting on bamboo dust symbolizes chastity with bamboo, fusing female beauty with the ideal personality of a scholar bureaucrat. The ending picture is poignant and beautiful, leaving endless aftertaste. Pass sentence by sentence. The first paragraph, personal history and family tragedy. There are beautiful women in the peerless era, living in seclusion in the empty valley. Notes. Juda refers to the contemporary beauty. Seclusion implies loneliness and escape from the world. Appreciation. The opening chapter uses empty valley secluded residence to create a state of independence, which alludes to the poet's unwandering situation and lays a tragic tone. Xian Liangjiazi, scattered by plants and trees. Note, Liangjiazi refers to a famous family. Scattered refers to the decline of the family into the mountains. Appreciation. To point out the life story of the beautiful woman in a self-narrated tone, reflecting the collapse of the aristocratic class in the Anshi rebellion. Guanzhong was bereaved, brothers were killed. Notes. Guanzhong refers to Chang'an. Mourning refers to the carnage of the Anshi rebellion 756. Appreciation. Directly writing about the destruction of the family caused by the war echoes the sadness of the country's destruction of mountains and rivers into full spring hope. Officials are not allowed to accept flesh and blood. Note, even if you are born in a noble family, it is difficult to preserve the bonds of your relatives in troubled times. Appreciation, satirizing the reputation of the powerful, implying criticism of the court's incompetence. The second paragraph, marriage betrayal and the cold world. The world is in decline, everything turns candle. Note, candle is a metaphor for the world as impermanent as a candle in the wind. Evil and fading refers to the secular tendency to follow the trend. Appreciation, criticizing the warmth and coldness of human feelings, which coincides with Du Fu's personal experience of being demoted for his outspoken words. Husband-in-law is light, newcomer is as beautiful as jade. Note, lighthearted rebukes husband for being ruthless. Newcomer refers to a newly married wife. Appreciation, with the comparison of the new person and the old person, accusing the marriage of betrayal. The emotion is as intense as crying. When the time is still known, the mandarin ducks do not sleep alone. Notes. Huan is the nocturnal flower, which blooms in the morning and joins at night, symbolizing loyalty. Mandarin Duck means husband and wife depend on each other. Appreciation – use natural objects to contrast human nature and strengthen tragedy. But when the newcomer laughs, the old man cries. Note, the contrast between laughing and crying hits the heart and exposes man's poor luck. Appreciation – emotional bursts such as the determination of the Book of Songs, hooligan, both narrative and lyrical. The third paragraph, character persistence and spiritual sublimation. The water in the mountain spring is clear, and the water in the mountain spring is turbid. Notes: the spring water is clear and turbid as a metaphor for high character and filthy world. Appreciation: it symbolizes that the beautiful woman does not change her mind, and also metaphors the poet's spirit of preferring to stay poor and not fall into the turbid world. The maid sells the beads back and lays throughout to replenish the heart. Notes: selling beads refers to selling jewelry to survive. Tian Luo describes the poverty of repairing hearts. Appreciation: the detailed description highlights the hardship of life and contrasts with its tenacity. Picking flowers without inserting hair, picking cypresses and moving them. Notes: do not decorate the appearance and use cypress symbolizing constancy to show the beauty of simplicity. Appreciation: portray character with action, as detached as Dayuan means chrysanthemum picking only. The sky is cold and the leaves are thin, and the sun is on the bamboo at dusk. Notes: Guixu refers to thin clouds, Shuzhu symbolizes high purity. Appreciation: the conclusion of the sentence ends with a poignant picture, and the strength of the bamboo is integrated with the solitude of the beauty, which is known as without a word, you're all romantic. Analytical summary: structural features, 3-stage progression, life experience gives portrayal gives persistence, narrative and lyrical interweaving, ending with image sublimation. Artistic techniques, fusion of food mixing, such as turning candles to symbolize the world, spring water to symbolize character. Strong contrast, old and new crying and laughing, clear spring turbid current. Ideological core: it is not only the writing of female tragedy, but also the ideal of scholars, so as to realize the unity of objective realism and subjective symbol. This poem is known as the pinnacle of Du Fu's chant of beauty, and its image and spirit had a profound impact on later literati. Artistic features, comprehensive application of food mixing. 4. Directly narrate the horrors of war brothers were killed, and the details of life lead throughout to make up the heart, enhancing the realism. Mixing, using Hedian Hall and Mandarin Duck to contrast the coldness of human nature, and using spring water as turbid, as a metaphor for moral choice, inheriting the tradition of the Book of Songs, and being more philosophical. The symbolic system of imagery, natural image. Bamboo and cypress symbolize constancy, spring water symbolizes character, forming the spiritual isomorphism of beauty scholar, elevating female tragedy to the ideal personality of scholar bureaucrat. Color image, the cool tones of thin sleeves and sunset enhance the poignant atmosphere, and the visual and emotional impact are dual. Contrast and white space, the strong contrast between the old and the new, crying and laughing, and the turbid current of clear springs highlights the contrast in the world. At the end, Yi Qiyu does not discuss a word, and conveys loneliness through the picture, achieving the effect of silence is better than sound. Chulai narrative and sustenance. The fate of the beautiful woman is clearly written, and the dark thread runs through Du Fu's own emotions of abandoning official and wondering and worrying about the country and keeping his will, realizing the integration of personal encounters and the tragedy of the times. Conclusion: Beautiful Woman is not only an epic of the fate of women in the Anji Rebellion, but also a portrayal of Du Fui's spiritual personality. Its artistic achievements are reflected in the unity of realism and symbolism, and the integration of narrative and philosophical thinking, which is known as Jianan, and there is no such language. PUK Long Review. The images in the poem, such as spring water is turbid, and green sleeves repair bamboo, are still classic symbols of character and beauty in classical literature. 佳人，杜甫。绝代有佳人，犹居在空谷。自云良家子，零落依草木。关中系丧乱，兄弟遭杀戮。功高何足论，不得受骨肉。世情无衰歇，万事随转主。夫婿轻薄儿，新人美如玉。火灰上之时，鸳鸯不独宿。但见新人笑，哪闻旧人哭。在山泉水清，出山泉水浊。势必卖珠回，千楼不茅屋。摘花不插发，采白动银炬。天寒翠袖薄，入木已修竹。The fairest ever creature, that lived the fairest ever creature. Amidst the dial,An open zone, from a good home, she was a treasure, but dwelt with weeds and trees alone. By revolt, the plains were swept. Then killed were brothers of her own, so high rank her family kept, but failed to gain their flesh and bone. Misfortunes come with scorns from mortal, like candle flames from side to side.The heartless man was all too fickle, and like a jay was his new bride. Night petals know the time to close, whilst the lovebirds ne'er parts late. To watch the new bridegroom he chose, e'en though the old was there to weep. The fountain at the slope is clear, the fountain down the slope is turbid. A maid does pawn the jewelry dear.With vines, the leaky roof she mended. Flowers picked, she stuck none in her hair, but held in hands pine twigs so true. Her green silk sleeves in freezing air, she leant on slender eve bamboo.